So if you're watching this video right now, you've probably already heard about a company called Air.ai, and you've probably even thought about implementing it for yourself or even reselling it to other businesses. And after approximately a year and a half in the business, there are currently a lot of things coming out about this company. And in this video, I'll be setting the record straight, covering exactly what they promise and what they actually deliver, coupled with real life case studies of business owners that I've spoken to one-on-one that have told me firsthand about their experience with this company and what they actually got as a result of working with them. Finally, I'll answer the question that you're probably asking yourself, which is if you, the person watching this video, should implement or not implement Air.ai. So before we actually get into the video, I'd like to remind you that if you get any type of value from this content, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel down below. We're on a mission to revamp the entire AI service-based industry from the cesspool that it has become. So if you want to be a part of that mission, subscribe down below and let's get right into it. So section number 1, the promises of Air.ai. So I'll cover first what they claim they can do and then what they actually do based on user experiences. In a couple of minutes. So first, they claim that they have AI-powered calls lasting 5 to 40 minutes. They have human-like conversations. They have integration with 5,000 plus applications. They have autonomous customer service handling, superhuman persuasion, which is pretty intense, but okay, capabilities, and 24/7 operation without human intervention. And I mean, this may sound pretty cool, but with any normal AI calling software, this is not impossible. It's actually pretty realistic if you have basic coding capabilities. Okay. Now, in terms of pricing, so Air.ai's pricing in terms of calls per minute for outbound, it's 11 cents per minute the AI speaks. Inbound calls is 32 cents per minute for that, which is quite weird because it's supposed to be the same thing. But okay, it's 3 times the price. Obviously, you have to pay for Twilio, which is like a couple bucks a month. To be honest, it's really, really cheap. And then reports of licensing fees for people that want to actually white label the software, reaching thousands of dollars. In some cases, some people paid 6 figures, which is not totally out of the ordinary. But where the things get concerning is when you actually get into the user experiences. Okay, and I won't get into all the online reviews. If you want to check them out, just Google Air.ai reviews, and you'll quickly realize that something fishy is going on. So here are just an example. So user case number 1 said I paid 9,800 over a month ago and received nothing. Customer support is non-existent and my email is going unanswered. User case number 2 is the company promised a working product but disappeared after payment. No refund, no response, nothing. So if you already have 2 people saying I paid and I got absolutely nothing, it starts getting a bit weird, right? But more to this is I've personally, myself, because obviously I run an AI infrastructure agency, we've custom developed, built in-house our own software so we don't rely on any companies. But we've essentially built our own software called Camille.ai, which is the first omnichannel AI system. So I've been speaking with business owners on calls, and I'll be totally honest, like 80% of them tell me that they've already paid Air 10K, 12K. I even spoke to one guy running an agency that's paid $100,000 plus monthly, for the software for licensing. And now a couple of months later, so specifically he paid in May, and then in September, he lost all of his access without any way of contacting the company. So they kicked him from the Slack. They removed his access from the agency software. His clients obviously lost all access. So he essentially just lost $100,000 for 6 months of software that he also had to spend months setting up with the team. Said it was a really, big pain to get everything up and running, which is apparently what he was not pitched. So I'm starting to, you start to see that there's something like with the sales and marketing side, as well as the fulfillment, that's clearly inexistent, right? But if we actually break down the red flags, okay, so before we actually get into the verdict, let me put that down. So red flags. Number 1 is the payment issue. So it's the same types of companies being pitched totally different prices. So you'll see there are some people that pay 10K, 12K, 9.8K, and then this guy pays 100K for licensing. So people have the same companies, and I totally understand, like, we give personalized prices depending on the company, but we do kind of have a really, really close similarity between 99% of the pricing. And then for the 1% of people that have specific cases, we'll actually, create a custom quote. But to being pitched totally different prices for the same exact business, which if you read the comments has happened, it's a bit weird, on the sales types of thing. Okay. Number two is obviously the number one thing, which is the loss of access even after payment, which is crazy. Like, at least if you're paying 12K instead of 10, like, or whatever, that's fine. If you still have the software, like, you just got sold at a higher price, which is okay, good up on the sales guy. But if you're not even getting the software after, then you literally got scammed, right? Number two, communication problems. So unresponsive, or frankly, they probably don't even have any customer support in place, coupled with the lack of transparency on sales calls, and apparently there's missing contact information. So ChatGPT couldn't actually find anything. Number three, in terms of product delivery, so multiple people obviously not receiving what they were promised, which is an AI caller with all these capabilities. Full on just getting no AI caller at all, not even a bad one. Like, I'm sure those that actually had it, I've actually seen in some cases that people used it and it actually worked, but then some people just don't get anything, which is crazy. Why should 75% people like have the software they paid for, and then the other 25 just pay you and get nothing, right? Unclear implementation timeline. This actually came up multiple times on calls with business owners where they were told, like, okay, well, you're going to be getting the system within 2 months, and then 6 months in, they're still like going back and forth on Q&A calls with Air, and even multiple people saying that on those Q&A calls, like, literally it's just plenty of business owners that are like, what the hell did I pay for? So obviously there's limited evidence of successful deployments. I've heard about a few that it actually performed, especially in like the cold calling stuff for local businesses. And then this is a big thing that I think perhaps caused a bit of like their issues in terms of like actual fulfillment and stuff, is you have multiple third parties. They encouraged a bunch of like beginners to resell their product without any experience in AI, coding, or other elements necessary to the successful implementation of an AI infrastructure. So you have, for example, Air, the software, the company, which is perhaps good, but then you have people reselling the software saying, okay, yeah, I'm affiliated with Air, and they're selling Air as a software, but then they're not giving any customer service. They're not helping the client in any way. They're just shooting the client over to Air, and now it's Air's problem to deal with all of that, and having to deal with all of that increased volume of, if you have 100 resellers, then you have 100 times more clients coming in on a monthly basis, which means you can't fulfill, especially as their company like scaled extremely fast, right? So I kind of get how it went wrong, but this was definitely one of the biggest factors to them being rated. I think it's like 1.4 on Trustpilot. So my verdict on Air.ai, and this is also what I actually got from plugging it into ChatGPT. So I plugged all this information in, and ChatGPT told me that it's not recommended for businesses due to obviously the multiple scam allegations, the financial risks of you're going to be paying 10K and then you don't know, there's like a 50-50 chance of you getting nothing from it. There's poor transparency as much on the sales side as the fulfillment side. There's a lack of any support infrastructure. And frankly, now we're in October. Okay, there are multiple better alternatives available, like Camilla.ai, our own custom AI infrastructure that you can check out down below in the first link in the description. But definitely there's a lot of even other AI calling or voice softwares or SMS, or even in our case, like omni-channel capabilities. So you don't have to go with just a basic AI calling software that has essentially a 50-50 chance of just taking your money and not giving you anything, right? And also make sure to just be aware when you hop on calls. Obviously, there's the resellers white labeling it. So you just always want to ask what they build it with. Like in our case, we integrated it with some softwares like Synflow, and we used 11 Labs for the voice, but or else it's all custom made by our in-house developers. So there's no risk of like a software going out of business and us not being able to fulfill on our promises. And as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, if you want to be a part of our mission of revamping the entire AI service-based industry, then subscribe to the channel down below, hit the bells for post notifications, as I will be releasing a bunch of videos regarding, yes, other AI companies that are, a bit sketchy, but also of the positive side of the new advancements in AI, that every single week there's something new and something interesting and something that could potentially help you scale your business even further than with the current AIs available. So definitely go ahead, consider subscribing down below. And on that note, I will see you in the next video.